So again, thank you. Thanks for hanging in there a couple minutes while we got things rolling here. We do have a good webinar for you today. I do want interaction. That's why I wanted to stop and make sure our chat works. Because me rambling at you for an hour, you could get on YouTube. When we do these webinars, which we promise them at least quarterly, the goal is to interact as much as possible with you and tweak the content. So yes, I have my core outline. We have the PowerPoint. But I would much rather speak to those of you that show up and reward you for showing up. So kind of two topics in one today. We're talking about every door direct mail, that's what EDDM is, and we're talking about new mover mailings and how you can combine both of those together. And we'll talk about what's appropriate, what's not, what businesses can benefit, which ones don't, all that fun stuff. So quick background, if somehow you got on the email list, you don't know who on earth I am, who Jurassic Marketing is. So I always have to put I'm a husband, father of 3, but you aren't going to see a whole lot about the family on social media usually. Author of the book Jurassic Marketing, where this brand started. It started as a presentation and it moved to a book. I probably should have a copy here on the desk, but I don't. Jurassic Marketing was formerly called Profit 911, and we were a digital marketing agency. So we have made a devolution to direct mail and direct mail only, and some of the reasons why are going to be covered in this presentation today, or they'll be between the lines if you can find them. But now the company here and our production team, which is about 60 feet that direction from me, produces, prints, and mails millions of pieces of mail a year. And I saw a pallet of product being loaded up today. So yeah, a lot happens in these walls here. And now, you know, Jurassic Studios as well, until, you know, Universal tells me no go. I'm sure they have it trademarked. What do we do? Why do we exist? Why am I giving this webinar? Why do we do direct mail? It's to accelerate small business growth. So I've been a small business person forever, since before you could even call it a business, going through neighborhoods and selling stuff door to door. I like to say I had my first real company at the age of 14, and that was a mobile disc jockey business, and I ran it for a couple decades before selling it. And learned a lot there, cut my teeth on marketing a lot there, and ultimately ended up enjoying marketing more than event production. Although maybe I'm devolving back to it now with our new studio here, you never know. So let's talk about the agenda for the next, what do we got, 53 minutes? Today's goal is to show you how to dominate local markets with mail campaigns. So everything we're talking today is localized area, close to a business location. So we serve a lot of different businesses. That's our focus for today. What you're going to learn, how every door direct mail works, when you use it, why new mover campaigns are high ROI for the right types of businesses. I'm going to show you a couple examples. I have a couple sitting on my table here and some in the slides. We'll talk a little bit about design. I am not a designer, but I can give you some best practices. We do have a designer here. Can't get her on camera. One of these days we'll get her out here. And then we'll talk a little bit about the overlay with digital marketing and how to use digital marketing to track that a little better. I will leave time for question and answer. That being said, just use the chat. It's small, but I have it on a monitor in front of me, and I will try and follow it unless you all like slam all kinds of stuff and it scrolls too fast. Of course, I always reward people that attend the webinars. So we will have a special reward at the end, so hang tight for that. I will put a replay of this online as well, but you might find the special reward expired by the time you get around to doing that. So now that we know that chat works and is working, so I want you to put 3 things in there so I know who I have on here today. So I want you to put where you're from, what industry you are in, and are you currently using any form of direct mail whatsoever? So I'll give you just a couple of minutes to put that in the chat, and we'll go from there. And Jeff's got his assistant AI in here. I don't care about that. All right, Jeff, Maryland home improvement and not using direct mail currently. Thanks, Jeff. We have more attendees. Michelle, feel free to chime in there. League City, Texas, tax and bookkeeping, not using direct mail currently. Okay. Wait for a couple more responses. Otherwise, I'm going to tweak everything to direct mail rookies or people that have started and stopped in the past. Once again, looking for where you're from, what industry you're in, and are you currently at this time or in the past couple of months using direct mail. Kristen Cunningham, Southern California, one of our ROS members. Awesome, welcome. I'm guessing Michelle may be as well. Not currently using direct mail. Okay. So yeah, it looks like we have a couple of you at least, maybe more, that came from Michael Rosbrook's world. So we send a lot of mail for Rosbrook's members. All right, so let's move on. Thank you those that interacted there. And again, if something's not clear or you don't see how it may apply, fill it in the chat. I'll try and keep an eye on that for you. So let's start at the basics. So what on earth is EDDM? First off, the graphic kind of gives away if someone else is using EDDM. So no one except marketers looks at this, but here's your dead giveaway is something going to local postal customer. And there's some giveaways and tells in the indicia part as well. So as you start becoming a student of direct mail, you're going to start paying attention to those things, and you'll be able to tell behind the scenes a little bit of what was going on with the person that sent that. So why EDDM? Or what is it? Sorry. It is a post office program where you blanket entire carrier routes. Now, what on earth is a carrier route? A carrier route is what an individual postal carrier delivers throughout the day. Now, that can be 150 households. It could be 400 households. It depends, and we'll talk about how to select those here. But you have to send to every single person that postal carrier delivers to. You don't get to pick house 1 and 4 and 7. So that's the trade-off. That's how this works. The benefit is you don't need any mailing list. You don't have to buy a mailing list. You're going to hit every household on that route. So you save the expense of mailing list. You save the expense of bad addresses and a lot of things that we typically have to do for a direct mail campaign. The biggest reason people use it is it's affordable. So this, from a postage standpoint, is the cheapest possible way to send anything through the post office. So give you an example, postage on every door direct mail is typically under 25 cents a piece. Right now, as we are broadcasting, a first-class postage stamp is 78 cents a piece. So that is a massive spread. It's a third the cost of a first-class stamp. But of course, there's trade-offs as well. Every door direct mail is often perfect for local service providers. So you kind of want to own a geography, and that's where you want to serve. You know, think restaurant, retail, people that have to come to your location. Also things that you want to serve a specific area. So think like lawn care business. You know, it makes a lot more sense to have a lot of people geographically close. There's a lot less travel time. So sometimes it may not be exactly around your location of business. It might be where you want to serve. But most of the time it's around a physical location of service. All right, let's talk about why it works a little bit. Number one, and you'll hear this in all my presentations, is it stands out in the digital world. So we are in a digital world. You know, I got my Apple Watch buzzing at me right now, my phone in my pocket, emails, and 80 bazillion ways to get digital ads. So direct mail is becoming more and more different. So you get the benefit of the doubt, you get a little bit of trust out of the gate that you don't get in digital format. Next is you have 100% mailbox coverage. So you're building a lot of awareness at a cheap per head rate or per household rate. So everywhere in the US is actually mandated by law to be covered by the post office. So, you know, the government benefits you here. Government doesn't always benefit us. Right now it does. You have consistent visibility, building brand recognition. So what this means is you'll often hear me say you have to repeat, repeat, repeat. Always repeat. You want to send it multiple times, and you're building up brand recognition. So when they see that physical location, you're going to get thought of. And again, if you are targeting properly to your target consumer, this is a cheaper cost per impression than digital. It depends. I mean, you can blanket digital for pennies. You know, like if I pull out my phone and I hit boost on a TikTok video I put on there, you know, it's going to put it out to a couple thousand people for $5, but it's probably not as targeted as what we're going to talk about here. All right, couple caveats though. every door direct mail is not for everyone. If you are a highly niche business, meaning your customer avatar is very narrow, you're probably better off purchasing a mailing list and doing a targeted mailing rather than a blanket small geography mailing, which is what this is. If you are business to business, not the tool for you. It's just, you'll see in a minute when we get to like talking about routes, there's just not enough business saturation, even in a business district, usually for this to work. So targeted list for businesses. If you have a tiny budget with no room for repetition, right? This is true of most media, but even more on this where you're doing more of a shotgun approach in a small area, but you're still blanketing it all. Too small a budget to send repeats doesn't work because they didn't ask for your stuff. This is coming cold. It has to be a broad enough message to appeal to the entire base, and that's just going to take multiple hits to where things land in your favor. So tiny budget with no repetition, no good for every door direct mail. This one should be obvious based on what I told you, but if your audiences don't cluster geographically, meaning, you know, you have 2 from this city, 1 from the next city over, 3 down the road, and 5 out of state, this is, EDDM's not describing a valid marketing media for you. All right, so if you're a podcast listener, we gave the pizza shop example when we were talking about this a little in preview for this webinar, because I consume a lot of pizza and it's easy as an example for you to wrap your head around. I did find an actual case example this time. Kevin's probably laughing on the board over there. So this is not a hypothetical. This is Mama's Pizza and Grill. And what they did, they used every door direct mail and they sent 10,000 menus over 4 weeks to a 3-mile radius of their shop. Then they followed up again, so repetition. And follow-up mailing, they sent magnet coupon mailers, which we've done those before for clients, to the same home. So a couple of hits out the gate there. And 10,000 is a pretty big hit for a small business. I don't know Mama's Pizza and Grill. If they're a large deal, then great. If they're a small shop, they probably didn't need to send that much. So here's your results though. Over the course of 7 months, important, 7 months, because again, they only sent 2 pieces. So this trickles. People held on to stuff. They had magnets they held on to. They'll hold on to the menus until it's appropriate. They had 1,301 coupon redemptions. 6.5% redemption rate, which in direct mail world is a slam dunk. We don't often see 6%, not on a blanket approach like this. On a targeted list, yes, of course. But that's a lot, 1,300 out of 10,000. They also had 3,719 phone calls. So just under 1,900 of those unique, and then they had some repeats for the other half. So that's exactly what you want as a pizza shop, by the way, is that people call back and they continue to go, because sometimes we have to do offers that are not great out the gate for math, but they go. So 18.6% call response. You know, if you want to go unique calls, you got to kind of chop that in half, but still like a slam dunk out of this world result for direct mail with a pretty easy media to use in every door direct mail. So that's just one way you can do this, and you might have to think of how to tweak this for your particular business. Because a menu and a magnet might not work for you. Ones that we have done here. So this is a tree service mailer, and no, I don't have it on the slide, and no, Kevin can't zoom in because he'll screw up our camera angle. But this, what I wanted to show you, the important part is it's kind of floppy. So this is a thicker than normal sheet of paper, but we're trying to replicate someone that's door knocking and putting something in the mailbox. So you can probably just see a general outline, I would guess, but it's in a letter format. It just looks like a personal letter. There's nothing fancy going on. If you're a marketing student, you can flip it over and you can see local postal customer and figure all that out. But this was for a tree service. It's a slam dunk. They can send this whenever they want and make the phone ring. That's the goal of any campaign. It's really hard to get there, but when you get it, you know, you just basically have a faucet. You know, how many leads do I need? And what annoys me is this particular one's at capacity, so they aren't mailing right now. But we did our job. They need more crews. They need more crews. The other one, I was just kind of looking through my mail today. We got the Val Packs. So you get Val Packs, money mailers, things like that. This is sent every door direct mail as well. They have different ways to send, but yeah, everyone's in here. It's hitting every household on the routes that are chosen. The offers are usually pretty generic, which we can talk about offers in a minute. And here we go. We're doing this blind. I just opened this for the first time. So we got Battery Center, we got Auto Group, we got Roofing and Siding, we got Valpak themselves, we got remodelers of every shape and size. And they're all, most of them are coupon based. So most of them are coupon based, you'll see that. We got credit card offers, which are huge users of direct mail. There's 3 credit card offers in a row right there. Good side point is just because your competition's doing it doesn't mean you can't succeed with it as well. You got, who we got? We got 2 by Chase actually, right next to each other, Chase and Chase Private Client. And we got Wells Fargo, direct competitors right next to each other. Both are very sophisticated marketers actually, so are definitely getting an ROI from that particular campaign, even right next to each other. And yeah, like 6 to 10 remodelers. Now the difference between Valpak and doing your own letter is going to be some cost. So it's going to cost you a little more to do a standalone letter versus calling up whoever your local Valpak rep is, which by the way, we don't sell Valpak. But the per piece would be cheaper here. The trade-off is you're with 20 other messages, so you get less time. When you send a standalone, you get more time to make your case, to build trust, you get more space than you would on this little thing. And it gives a little better impression than the floppy. You can probably hear this thing. It sounds like cellophane or something. So there you go. A couple of every door direct mail campaigns. If you have every door direct mail questions, put them in the chat right now because I will make sure I talk about them before we're done, but I will move on to new movers barring any questions there. So the tax and bookkeeping people, or the tax resolution people, this is the tricky one because there actually is a fair amount of the population with tax debts. You guys know the stats better than I do on that. But is there enough in a specific neighborhood? I don't know the answer to that. It's worth exploring further. It's worth maybe suggested as a call for me and the Rosman to do with you to dig in a little further. If you have a traditional tax and bookkeeping, which it looks like Kristen does, yeah, this is probably a solid play for you. And if you have home improvement, it should be a slam dunk. New movers. Oh, Jeffrey, what's the initial investment level to start an EDDM campaign? Minimum number of mailers and designs. I will show you the route tool here today. You could start for, I mean, you could probably start at $400 or $500 a month. Obviously, the sky is the limit. I would encourage you to spend $1,000 to $2,000 to try and actually get a decent response. But yeah, you can start small on these. The post office minimum is probably 1 route. It would be odd for us as a service provider to do 1 route, but you could. And minimum number of mailers depends on the route, so could be a couple hundred pieces. All right, let's switch gears to new movers, and then I'll give you guys some demos of tools on how to really dig into this. All right, new movers are a gold mine for the right company. And the right company often is the same one that is the EDDM. So EDDM and new movers tend to go hand in hand because you're going aggressively after a very narrow geographic target. So we'll talk about how to combine them, but it's usually the same businesses that are doing both. One aside that I missed in the intro to this that's worth me interrupting everything to go to is that EDDM and new movers are incredibly underutilized. So I had to kind of search to find pieces in the mailbox that went every door direct mail. You know, I came up with Valpak, and if I would have done it for a week or two, probably a couple more. So don't overlook these. They're extremely underutilized by everyone. All right, back to new movers. So new movers spend 5 to 10 times more in the first 12 months. So I call this the wallet being open. And maybe you've experienced in your own life, you know, it's once you're starting something and it costs money, spending incrementally more is very easy. You know, from a sales perspective, the easiest time to sell someone something is right after they bought something. When I used to be in the wedding and event business, we knew that once they started planning that wedding and they hired the first vendor, it was game on. Like their spending was going to happen. So the stat for moving as the trigger is 5 to 10 times more than they typically would in the first 12 months after the move. They're actively seeking providers. So this is a rare moment in time where someone has uprooted and is forced to, in most categories, find a new provider. So this could be dentists, it could be barbers, it could be home services of any type actually. Plumber, electrical, general contractor, remodeling, all that fun stuff. Attorneys, typically most people aren't, going out of town for attorneys unless it's a specialty. Obviously, gym memberships or local plays. Again, the restaurants, the coffee shops, things like that. Insurance rep, you would think would stick with them, but oftentimes they jump ship at that point. Financial people, planners and brokers and all that stuff. So they are making a lot of changes in their life in a short period of time. And timing is something usually we can't control. So I'll use the tax resolution example since I know I have some of you on here. In the tax resolution world, the tax problem with the IRS did not happen overnight. By the time you've heard about them, it's been ongoing for quite a while. And the question is, why should they take care of it now? Now, of course, now's the best time. Actually, before was, and it keeps getting worse, but still that's been going on. So why now? So typically something has to change. Something has to change in their outside life to where it becomes a priority. Now jumping back to new movers, for these categories, that's the change and we've identified it and it's in our control. So this is like a slam dunk if we know that we are a service or product that caters to the change. When they do make that move, they don't have loyalty yet. So oftentimes we can just jump first in line by being there, making them aware of us, getting the messaging in front of them. All right, so I told you they spent a lot more. Here's the dollar figures for a lot more. Average $9,000 plus spent in the first 90 days, and there's my note to get the citation for that, which I think I added later. $9,000 spent in the first 90 days. So there's a lot going on. A lot of that involves around the physical home or whatever they're moving into, but a lot doesn't. A lot's just secondary. They're 5 to 10 times more valuable than existing residents. So when we're doing every door direct mail, we're hitting the entire neighborhood. But now we know there's a house or two within that neighborhood that are worth 10 times as much as the others. And we know who the house is. So that is amazingly in our favor as business owners. Example categories, it goes on, but anything they have to buy, furnishings. If someone could have got word that we were building the studio here, God, there's so many things that went into it. Home services, again, anything related to that, landscape, lawn, gutter cleaning, pressure washing, all this stuff, painting. Insurance again, healthcare again. A lot of people don't think of healthcare as a marketable business, but it certainly is, and we serve a lot of them. So if you're listening and you're in that space, a new mover is actually a great prospect for you. Typically, that's again a force and uproot to a new provider on that side. All right, so let's talk how new mover campaigns work. So I told you people move, oh, so what? How do we know who they are, right? All right, so these lists are readily available. I'll show you one source before we leave here today. And you just want to pull the list at a set frequency. So usually it's weekly or monthly, and usually that depends on budget and also how many people are moving in the market you serve. So if you start running the list and there's there's 20 people in the area I want to serve that moved in the last 3 months, okay, we probably need to expand the geographic radius a bit. Or if they're extremely high value, maybe you send something of high value to them. But typically, you're going to want a larger sample size. What do we mail to them? Often postcards, letters, or welcome packages. And we dug a little deeper on one of the podcasts about this, but a postcard is typically an offer type thing. The letter can be welcome to the neighborhood, kind of intro, very, very soft intro. And welcome package Doesn't have to be like a physical box. I know everyone thinks Amazon immediately when you hear package, but it could be a large envelope. It could be some things that they can find useful around their new house. Timing's pretty critical on this. We want to hit them within 30 to 90 days of move-in. So they're still worth disproportionately more money in months 4 through 12, but the bulk of it goes out the door in that first 1 to 3 months. And this is something that can be put on autopilot. So if you're doing it yourself, you're gonna pull the list and everything. If this is a campaign that you get dialed in, it's working, you know the geography, you know the offer you're gonna use, then you can just work with us and say, okay, go, do it weekly. And you can like put a cap on it, be like up to this amount of movers we want every week. So this is kind of on autopilot in the background. In fact, both of these types of campaigns can be. All right, so case example from another agency here. This is a dental practice for a new mover campaign. So health and dental, certainly categories for this. Was Ashburn, Virginia, a small to mid-sized campaign. They spent $6,664 throughout the course of the campaign. How much did they get back? $15,000. So that is a 125% ROI, which is going to excite people differently. But for direct mail on the front end of a piece, that's an amazing ROI. In fact, if they spent $6,664 and they got $5,000 back, I would take that. Because at the dentist, I know that person's coming back at least twice a year until they move again or we irritate them somehow. So you got to have your math in perspective on these. But yeah, they got a slam dunk out the gate on their campaign. All right, so where do we get new mover lists? JurassicMarketing.com/lists. And when you go there and crash my website, I took screenshots this time instead of a live demo. You're going to see something that looks pretty much like this. You're going to want to select individuals. So it's at the top of the screen, individuals. And then you have new movers. You can also select new homeowners, but we're talking about new movers today. Once you do that, you will have additional criteria over on the tabs for geography and demography. So within the geography and demography tabs, you got a lot going on. I did not give you screenshots of everything, but you can play. First off, the most important one is recency of move. So last week, last 30 days, last 60, 91, et cetera, okay? You also can grab age, gender, median household. Changing dwelling type means did they move from an apartment to a house? Did they move from multifamily to single family or vice versa? You can see how far they moved, region, and then you can get value of home, dwelling type, how old the house is, stuff like that. So you can really get dialed in. As with any mailing list, there's some slop on it, so it's not gonna be perfect. You know, we have to look for indicators on exactly why they moved. So sometimes like a refi will end up on the new mover list, but that's part of the game. That's just part of the waste. So all that you can do self-serve on the website. It'll show you, by the way, how many records are available based on your criteria, and then how many you want you can select, and you get like 25 bucks if you want 100 of them. So Jeffrey was asking kind of minimum investment. If you're just buying the list and doing it yourself, barely anything. In fact, I don't even think I have markup on those particular lists. So get in there before I figure out how to do that. That's straight from our list provider, pretty much at cost for you. Our money's made on printing and mailing. Love to do that, of course, for you. But you can get on there, you can play, you can grab the list. All right, so let's talk about the 1-2 punch. So combining these things together. By the way, if you have any questions on the new mover side, pop them in the chat. And I'll try and copy those as well before we wrap up today. All right, so what's everything good for? Everydoor direct mail is good for broad coverage and planting seeds. So a little more generic of a message. We don't know anything about that person other than what we know about their route in aggregate. And I'll tell you in a moment what we know about them, but it is limited. New movers are like laser targeting. So they're your fertilizer for growth. We know that something happened in their life, and we know that if we tie our messaging and our service into that, we've substantially increased our chance of getting an ROI. Put them together, you got some sort of mailbox domination and the clip art guy throwing pennies at you. Hopefully they're dollars. Maybe they're gold coins. I don't know. Awareness plus timely offers equals maximum ROI. So again, every door direct mail, go with an awareness play. Yes, you can do offers. You probably want to do some sort of redemption. Coupons are great for every door direct mail where appropriate. New movers, we have a moment in time that happened and we can use that to our advantage to make them move. 1 + 1 is 3. All right, let's talk about putting them together. I love this graphic, by the way. We have our ChatGPT graphics. I'm blocking it, whatever. All right, so putting them together on a calendar, here's what it looks like. Month 1, EDDM postcard drop. So grab your 3 or 4 routes or whatever. 3 or 4 routes, by the way, give you 1,000-ish pieces, maybe 1,500 pieces. Often a very good starting budget to test this out. Month 2, send welcome postcards to the new movers on those same routes. So grab the geography from the tool online, figure out the new movers on there, follow up with them. So this is the second piece they've gotten from you now in 2 months. And then month 3, follow up the new movers with some sort of coupon offered to kind of get them off the fence, get them to move. Now's the time. New movers are also busy. They have a lot going on in their lives, but you want to hit them the best you can. The beauty of these campaigns, again, they're not tied to anything based on a calendar. So you should be able to repeat, refine the message, run it again and again and again, because the new mover list is always changing. There's always new people on it. And you can expand geography as well if you serve a larger geography. All right, keys to success. With the cliche keys to success. Sorry, I ran out of time to get dinosaur key to success graphics for you. Anyone that's watched these knows I love my AI dinosaurs. All right, consistency beats one-offs. As with almost anything marketing related, don't send one, just don't even do it if you're gonna send one. If it's a budget question, like I have $1,000 a month to spend on this and that's it. Shrink the list and send it multiple times, okay? Don't do like 3 times as many people and I send it once and I pray. No, we just narrow it down and send repeats. That will always beat the opposite. Make the offer irresistible. You're gonna have to actually offer them something good, and you've got to keep in mind the long-term math again. So in all likelihood, your service is something that they can repeat on. If it's not, and it's a one-time, it probably should be a high-ticket service. But if it's something that can repeat, you have to think long-term on this. So if we can even break even up front on this type of campaign, that's great, because we basically bought a client or a patient or whatever they are in your world. And then we can make profits on the follow-up transactions. You must track results. I talk about this all the time. Must track, track, track. How do we do that? We do it QR codes, tracking URLs, tracking phone numbers, coupon codes, all of the above. So make sure you track every way possible. The technology's cheap. We offer tracking services. Yeah, hey, I put a plug for myself in here. Yeah, we have premium tracking services available. That particular service, by the way, doesn't have a whole lot of markup on it either, because we want to show you what's working so that you continue to do more of it. And if it's not working, we like small business owners and we don't want you throwing money into a black hole. So we're happy to help you track those campaigns. All right, I promised a little bit about design, so here's where we go, because this is gonna be different than extremely targeted offers. This is, I'm gonna call it more traditional offer-based instead of direct response, although you could argue the definition. Big, bold, benefit-driven headlines. So if we go back to the Valpak and the camera here, $400 cash bonus. Enjoy $3,000, $300 just for you. $50 off, save up to $200. Over 10K of credit card debt, see if you qualify for debt relief. $250 off, 18 months, 0%. Half a second to figure out the benefit-driven headline. Very important, and all those companies, I guarantee you the national ones are testing headlines, but you should be as well. Clean visuals that grab attention. So again, in direct response world, oftentimes ugly works. In EDDM world, you get to do a little more traditional offer. So spend a little money on design, but don't let it go crazy on design. Make sure it's benefit driven, clear call to action. So what do you do next? So if you don't tell them what to do and tell them multiple times, it's never happening. So we got a phone number to call, contact us for free estimate, phone number and website, scan QR code to apply online. Yeah, phone numbers to call. There you go. So very clear what the next step is. Never leave the recipient confused on what to do. Contact info in multiple formats. Give them multiple response mechanisms, what we call that. So QR code plus website plus phone number plus, I guess we should talk about text or call. So if we go back to my tree example, as call or text estimate to blah, 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 and different people respond different ways. In this particular one, the phone call actually beat the SMS, I think 2 or 3 to 1. But that's not always the case, and there was still a good percentage that responded via the other method. So make sure you do that. There's also a website on there as well. The website, interestingly enough, for this particular service, didn't have very good response on it. Not a lot of people went there. They wanted their problem solved. They reached out via phone or text. Less text equals more important. So local contractor here, TMI, shout out to them. Half off a deluxe furnace takes up, God, 40% of the real estate on this. All right, so that's all you're getting on design. Happy to get with you and talk specifically on yours, or if you have a question, we can brainstorm offers here in a minute. Common myths though, so a lot of people light their money on fire just buying into the myths. Number 1, people throw away mail. Yeah, they sure do. They delete emails too. I'm okay with it. I only care about the few that don't throw it away. So you gotta be okay with that. Sure, they sort it over the recycle bin. You know, if I happen to be opening up this Valpak at home and actually going through it, which I do as a marketer, you know, I'd have 2 piles here. One's going into the garbage can or the recycle bin, and one's like, maybe I'll take that to the office or do something with it. Second myth, it's too expensive. Per household, again, depending on your targeting online, EDDM in particular is a very cheap tool. Now it's going to depend on the quantity you're mailing because the print component adds into there as well. So larger quantity print, less cost per piece on print. But the postage is the best deal you're going to get on postage. Post office has reminded us repeatedly they're going to continue to raise rates as well. So sooner the better on that. Finally, it's extinct. It's old-fashioned. Mail response rates, when you get the right recipient with the right message and you use the right media for them, the response often outpulls digital. It's one of the reasons that we moved this company from a digital marketing agency to a direct mail agency. So we were getting better results with the direct mail portion we did. So as a digital agency, we actually did direct mail for our clients and we linked it in automated. And those pieces were getting response more so than any other piece in their funnel. So we kind of honed in there as a focus as a service provider. All right, every door direct mail. So I showed you how to get the list for new movers. Now let me show you a little about the every door direct mail side of things. So that is at jurassicmarketing.com/EDDM. It will take you to a sub website of ours that, I apologize, has some mixed branding between Profit 911 still and Jurassic Marketing, but it's there. This is the first screen you will see. Essentially, you know, you'll be in the right category. Full service means we're mailing, not just printing. Pick the estimate for when you want it to be in the mailbox. The timing is not exact, by the way, on every door direct mail. Postcards is typically the piece you're doing. You have multiple size choices, paper stock, UV coating, colors, and whether or not you need art. Click the giant button, and it's going to ask you to input your address, assuming that's the area you're doing. So input the address of where you want to serve, and it's going to start showing you routes that look like this. You got a map with roads. I did our office address as the sample address. We're somewhere in here-ish. But here's all the postal routes within a 1 mile radius. And you'll see there's several of them, and it's going to tell us a few things. It's going to give us stats on each route. Each route, we're going to have a median age of household. So are they 32-year-olds? Are they 65 years old? This makes a difference to you in targeting. It's going to have a median income. So you're going to very quickly assess that our office is in like an industrial area. The average resident that lives here is like $50,000 median income. You'll have median household size. So is there 2.1 people per house or what is it? You'll have a business count versus resident count, and then the combined total. You have an option in Everydoor direct mail to only mail residential. You do not have an option to only mail business. That's just the way that it's set up. So most of the offers we're talking about are probably you're just going to select residential. It's tough to have a mixed offer that would be business and residential. Maybe the restaurant example, because you might have office lunches and dinners for residential. But those are your options and your only options. You go on the map, you select multiple routes. It's going to, yeah, you can kind of see that. Or you want to pull up the full screen on the slide. So you'll see on the bottom right a calculator. And on that calculator, you'll see of the routes you've selected, how many are you sending? What's the print and prep price? What's the postage price? And what's then put together? Now, the example you see is an extremely small quantity, so the per piece is higher. I assure you it gets much lower per piece when you add some quantity on there and aren't hovering at the minimum order quantities. But that tool is accessible to you. And I have a bonus here. So here's your incentive for hanging out. It is 20% off your first Everydoor direct mail order from that website. So you can go play with the tool for free. You can get the routes and download the routes for free. I put a coupon code live for 2 weeks for you. Coupon code is EDDM webinar, all lowercase, all one word. You can put that in at checkout and get 20% off. You can do the entire thing online, and that special is for purchasing online. So how can we help you with this? So we can do route mapping for you. We can do new mover list polls for you. We can design and print your pieces. We obviously print and indoctrinate mail into the post office. We can do the tracking for you with our premium campaign services, and we can repeat it to where it actually occurs on schedule every month or every week for you, and you don't have to think about it and just get results reported. So that's kind of how our company does this if you want us to do it for you. So again, why we exist around here is to help small businesses grow. And we do that with winning direct mail. If you are in one of these categories, this is probably a winning method for you. We're happy to talk with you about whether it could work or not for you. Or if you're in a category I didn't mention and you want to ask, well, I would encourage you to put it in chat right now while you have me here. But you can always reach out to one of our account execs as well, and they can go through it. So our process, if you're working with an account exec here, so you can go get the promo code, you can DIY it through the website, no problem. If you work with an account exec, here's how it kind of breaks down. You have a consult with them. Consult's free, of course. We'll contract for what the initial services are. Then we'll start gathering information for you. We'll gather the list. We'll start gathering art and get all that together. Get it pushed over to our production department, which if you haven't, you can see a video on our website of, which is kind of neat. We will report back to you based on our premium reporting services, and then we can optimize that for the next round and try and beat the response. It becomes a game of beat the last one. And this tree piece that's the slam dunk is on like version 7, I think. And some of the versions look completely different. And right now we can't beat the current one, but that doesn't mean we don't try. What is unique about our world here? We develop campaigns from start to finish. So we're not like Office Max. You can't Office Max, you can walk in and print some stuff and maybe put some stamps on it. We can actually brainstorm with you, help you get the list, decide the appropriate tactic. We're an actual agency here. Direct response is in our DNA. So everything we do is built around direct response. I came from the Dan Kennedy world of direct response. I've been a massive student, still am a student of direct response. So it's kind of built in what we do. We try and avoid things with low potential for return, and we try and inform you if we think you're going down that path. And we're on your team. You know, we want to have open, honest communication with you about, is it working? Is it not? What can we tweak? What's going on in your world? Which service do you want to push right now? Is there seasonality? All that fun stuff. So I want you to think of our account execs as a member of your marketing team and have open communication with them so they can help you. And once we're to a job, we have an on-time or it's free guarantee. I think we had to pay it out once in the past year, so we do really good at not making it free, but that means your stuff goes out on time. All right, again, your promo code is EDDM webinar. I have, we have 10-ish minutes if you guys want them for Q&A. I'll have you put them in the chat because we don't have two-way audio on Zoom today. But put them in the chat. There's no bad questions. This is the perfect time for you to ask. If you try and call and get me on the phone, you'll find it exceedingly difficult. But Tess or Katie here will love to help you with that. So this is first and potentially final call for questions in the chat. Anything that wasn't clear or takeaways. I'm happy to have takeaways if you have something that you learned today that you would like to share. All right. All right, we're quiet in the chat today. All right, Jeffrey, you're quite welcome. All right, I appreciate everyone that hung out with us today. We will put the replay online. It probably will be tomorrow. If not, it'll be Monday for sure. Feel free to reach out to our account exec team if you have questions, or find us on social media and post there, and everyone can learn from them. But that is what we have for today. Our next webinar, what do we have? I had a topic coming up. Oh, our next official one's different, but I have an unofficial one I'm going to sneak in that has to do with seasonal campaigns, specifically using Thanksgiving cards as opposed to holiday cards. Kristen, really interesting presentation. Thank you so much, Kristen, for being on. And if we can help you in any way, let us know. All right, we are going to close out. Again, thanks for everyone's time. Hope you got something you can use.